Okay, I'll start. I've been on the Purium UHT, is that what it's called, for 30 days, and now I'm going to go to the Core 4. We're thinking we're in a moldy house, so we just got out a week ago. Hi, Michelle, by the way. And we'll be here 2 more weeks just to see if we feel better. And I've just like consistently had trouble with constipation. And even though I'm doing all this, fruit and a lot of water and all the drinks and everything, still a problem. And I want to make sure this is okay, like a tablespoon, like kind of a heaping tablespoon of chia seeds in water, which I'll soak like, 12 hours and have that. And then I'll also put flaxseed, pour boiling water on that and leave that like 24 hours and then keep that in the fridge and do like 1/4 cup of that a day. But it's still like every couple days or so. And I'm thinking, are these toxins just getting stuck inside or recirculating or reabsorbing or whatever? So just wanted to check in, see if anybody's got a good idea.
Yeah. Can I ask you how rich in fiber your diet was prior to doing this?
We did a pretty good diet. We were doing a paleo, so we were doing like vegetables and then meat, or fish or chicken, like at night, fish or chicken or vegetables. And then during the day would be like maybe some fruit or maybe some Ezekiel bread with something on it, or like a handful of nuts and seeds and raisins, that kind of thing. So I've always been pretty good with fiber, but this has been, I'm telling you, like long term. Although I was diagnosed 30 years ago with fibromyalgia, and now I'm wondering if this mycotoxin thing may be the key, something that's gonna, break this thing open. So
yeah. And so how many years has constipation been an issue for you?
for really my whole adult life, really. And I drink like 8 glasses of water. That's part of what I was doing before. And although I did, one of my blood tests came up where constipation can be a thing. I did the mold protocol blood test, and it did come up as an issue. Constipation was one of them. I forget which of the ones it was, but so there's obviously something maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Mold toxicity, one really common symptom is constipation, because again, of that just overaccumulation of toxins in the body. And so getting out of your house is going to be huge. So congratulations on that. But yeah, I mean, so sometimes what can happen, there's a few things that can happen if someone's transitioning from kind of a low fiber diet to a high fiber diet, which it sounds like you had pretty good fiber before. Meat has 0 fiber, just in case people are wondering. But fruits and vegetables are really high in fiber. So sometimes your body's just adjusting to that and trying to figure out how to adjust to the new amount of fiber and really break all that down. So that can be one thing, but it doesn't really sound like that's happening in your case. Another thing that can happen is when we are starting to break up the bowels, through the biomedic that we're using and just through all the different fiber, the average American has like up to 35 pounds of impacted fecal matter along their gut, which is pretty intense. So as you start to break that up, it can kind of like break off in pockets. And sometimes your body's just not able to release what is coming up. It's like, whoa, all this needs to be eliminated. And if your channels of elimination aren't fully open, sometimes you can just get a little backed up. And a lot of time, what is being broken up is hard, calcified, acidic matter. So it's not as like loose and able to get out. So everything that you're doing is really going to help with that. The more you can alkalize your body and just like really stick with the superfoods, that's going to break all that stuff up even more. And then additionally, I would say really go for supporting the bowels even more. So I would say when you order the Core 4, also order the Aloe Digest, because that's going to support the hydration of the bowels and the movement of the bowels. And then I would also say really have you done the kidney filtration test to see if your kidneys are filtering?
I did, and I didn't really see anything, substantial. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but I mean, I saw a couple tiny little white things floating, but just like 2.
Yeah. So you definitely, I mean, it can get, especially if you've had mold toxicity, you're going to want to see that pretty thick, like almost like dandruff in your urine. That's when you
Okay.
know your kidneys are eliminating and open. So in addition, I would say maybe amp up on the tart cherry juice. And then you can even look for an outside source of kidney support in addition to of like a kidney tea you can sip on all day. Or, you know, if you're working with Michelle, we have a really good kidney herbal tincture through Dr. Robert Morse that she can direct you to. But most of the time when constipation is happening is one, like you said, there's an overtoxicity that needs to come out. And then in order to do so, we got to get the organs of elimination open. And, you know, Epsom salts baths can really help with that. You know, other organs of elimination are our liver and our lungs and our skin. So dry brushing on the skin can help open one pathway. Deep breathing helps open to another pathway, you know, just getting more oxygen. And have you tried the Can't Beat This yet either? Because that's one that can potentially really help with oxygenating the bowels as well. Beets are really helpful for oxygenating the bowels. And so I would say in addition to the core 4, give the Aloe Digest, the Can't Beat This a try, amp up your tart cherry, and, you know, seek some potential kidney teas or kidney tinctures as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, totally.
It's Ruth. I was just gonna chime in. I've been doing that in one, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I had some similar problems where I just woke up with heartburn and really hurting. And I talked to Michelle and Mary where I was just hurting, and it was all the way through my body. And it lasted probably, I don't know, 3 days, 2 days. The hurt part was about 12 hours, but then my intestines and stuff were definitely backed up. And following that, so that was probably about 2 or 3 days I just hurt in my midsection. And I did what Mary, something she had showed me when she was here. I did a I don't know if I should have or not, but it worked. It helped. I did a smoothie with ginger, cilantro, wild blueberries, and then I took a big chunk of aloe leaf and threw that in and blended it up. And then orange juice, but it was orange juice without sugar, and then a lot of water. And and you eat it, it's like a dessert slushy. It's great. And that definitely helped me along. So, but then I backed off. I was doing the product right off the bat. I went into the deep 10 and I was doing it 3 times a day, and it was just too much. My body was like, oh, you're drowning, and backed up. So I went back to 2 times a day, and I've been fine. I feel a lot better.
Yeah, Ruth, that's great. That's a perfect example of your body trying to eliminate the acid. So heartburn is like a total example of how there's acid present in the body. And the fact that it lasted 2 to 3 days is really common. Like the way to decipher if you're going through a detox symptom or you're going through something more systemic is detox symptoms usually last like 2 to 5 days, and so there might be a period where the pain gets worse in your body, or where the constipation gets worse, or where the heartburn gets worse, because your body's pulling that up out of you, and you've had these suppressed symptoms for who knows how long. And as you start to alkalize and work with these foods, it's got to pull it out, right? So there is a short period of time where things can get worse before they get better, but that's often a sign that you're actually on a good path, because you're getting in there, and I always say it's better out than in. So that's a perfect example of a time that can happen. And then I love that you're just listening to your body too, Ruth, of like, whoa, 3 times a day seemed like a little too much. And so backing off and making it sustainable for yourself. If people are dealing with extra constipation, sometimes too, backing off the biomedic a little bit is a smart move, because if you start right away with 4, again, sometimes your body's just like pulling too much out of the gut, and the organs of elimination aren't ready to eliminate all that. So, backing off on that, and aloe and wild blueberries and ginger and cilantro, all really alkalizing things and all really great for the gut. So good job, Ruth.
Yeah, well, thank you. I just want to share that with her, because sometimes you feel like I was in that boat, but I feel better. All right, let someone else talk.
Hey, Mary Beth.
Mhm.
My name is Abby, and I'm on day 11 of the cleanse. And a couple questions I had are around, it says that you should wait 30 to 60 minutes before drinking the power shake. So does that mean take the super amino on an empty stomach with nothing else to eat, wait 30 to 60, take the power shake? Then how long do you wait until you take the biomedic?
Yeah, so I typically wake up, I have some warm lemon water and I take my amino first thing. And then I
Okay.
putz around the house and do something for 30 minutes. I go brush my teeth, I do things for 30 minutes. And then I take my 2 biomedic and power shake together.
Okay.
Mhm.
How do you go through the rest of your day? Can you tell me
Yeah.
your routine?
Totally. So I kind of live on an ultimate lifestyle transformation. I'm nursing and I've been pregnant, so I don't do the super cleanser right now, but I do like everything twice a day. I just kind of like, that's my routine. So, like I said, I wake up, I do the aminos, warm lemon water. 30 minutes later, I do my first power shake and biomedic. And I'm in a place where I typically will do my power shake in a smoothie, just to give me a little more sustenance. So I add some fresh frozen fruit to or frozen fruit and fresh fruit to it. And then sometimes I add in even more like of the juice bar in a bag. I don't know if you guys have explored that yet, but the biofruit and the carrot juice powder and the green spectrum, I like to like add stuff in. And that lasts me honestly till 12 or 1 typically. Like I feel really good on that. And then when I get hungry, I go for, if I'm hungry before, then I usually snack on more fruit. And then when I sit down to have my lunch or my flex meal, it's usually a big salad or something fresh, cucumbers and fresh red peppers. And, if I do eat a little cooked food, it's usually like a sweet potato or something that's light, but I usually keep it pretty raw and fresh through the morning and through lunch. And then when I get hungry again, that's when I do another dose of the aminos. And I do another power shake. And I'm more on the maintenance protocol now where I'm just taking 2 biomedic a day. So I've done the 4 in the past for a good 2 months, and now I'm just kind of more on the 2 a day. So I don't take those again. And then that lasts me till dinner. And then for dinner, like I said, I usually have a really fresh meal. If I'm going to have some cooked food, it's usually in the evening, just to kind of ground me down a little bit more for my work day. And I usually have some kind of, my husband cooks amazing West African sauces. So I'll have some kind of veggie sauce or, but I keep it primarily raw again with a salad or just good veggies, or steamed veggies. And then right before bed, I take my tart cherry and I mix my aloe digest with the tart cherry. And I do that about 30 to 60 minutes before bed.
Okay.
So,
And then I'm now into the deep cleanse part. So on this first day, is it pretty critical that you are sticking to the every 2-hour structure they have in the Purium booklet?
I love that structure for people where this is kind of a big adjustment and you're like, whoa, this is a big adjustment. I love that schedule because what it does is it helps make sure that your blood sugar levels are going to stay balanced, and it kind of helps you with a routine of, okay, this is what I know when I'm eating here. So I love that schedule for that reason. But then I also really encourage people to go with what's sustainable for you too. Like if you're at work all day and having something every 2 hours is going to be super stressful, and I don't know, like just figure out a plan that's going to work for you. And one of the most important things on the 10-day, I would say, is that preparing, so that if you do feel hungry or something, you're not like, oh no, what am I going to eat? Like try to prepare the night before, where you have good flex food snacks. So when you do get hungry, you can grab a piece of fruit, or you can grab some celery, or you can grab a cucumber, just making sure that you're prepared. So, because the idea is that you never want to feel hungry. These
Right.
shakes have a lot of nutrition in them, so you're getting probably more nutrition than you're used to getting, that's for sure. And you just want to stay above the hunger, so just having the snacks on hand, that can, if you're feeling hungry during the 10-day. Does that make sense?
Okay. And is it true, because I was reading that it's better to have more fruit during the cleanse period than vegetable?
Yeah, so you want to think of fruit as your cleansers. and
Right.
veggies as your builders. So what our teacher always taught us is like, if you were going to clean your shower, would you go in with the lemon spray or would you go in with the kale spray? Like if you were going to clean the calcification off, right? You'd want that lemon, you'd want that astringent. So when you're in the deeper 10-day, if your goal is to do more of a deeper cleanse, stick high
Mhm.
fruit. And then the veggies are going to be, yes, more of your builders that have more protein in them. And so then, if you're feeling like, whoa, this cleanse is a little bit more intense than I thought, then you can kind of slow down the cleansing by adding in more veggies. And if
Okay.
you want to add in a little steamed veggies, that can be good. But just think fruits cleansers, veggies builders.
So no fruit is off limits during the cleanse part? I mean, are there better ones? Obviously, the berries are really good.
Yeah, I would say your primary is like citrus, melons, and berries.
Okay.
Citrus for the astringent, berries are just so good for the endocrine and system and all your glands. And then your melons are very hydrating. But then, in terms of like the more starchy, really sweet fruits can slow down cleansing sometimes. So like your bananas and your sweet dates and, especially dried fruit. It's a little bit, it's concentrated. Whereas you just want to stick with like the hydrating fruits, and remember anything with a seed is a fruit. So that includes your cucumbers, that includes your sweet peppers, so just think when you're thinking of the fruit, just think of the hydrating fruit that you can eat.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me ask all my questions.
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Hi, I've been having a hard time with the cherry product.
What do you mean by that? Like what's
At night, like I'm supposed to, but then I end up having like night terrors. Like I had been having before I started this cleanse. Although when I did take the product, I started having like nightmares, and it happened last time I took it too. So I took it earlier today, and then some people were saying just take it as you're supposed to, and I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, totally. So this is actually kind of common for people because what it's doing is it's helping you sink into that deep REM sleep. And our REM sleep is when we process emotions. It's when we process traumas. It's when we process so much from the day. And a lot of people aren't actually dipping into that REM sleep enough to process those. So when you actually start to sync your circadian rhythm again and get into those REM sleeps, all of a sudden, some people start having this experience of their body processing different emotions and traumas, and it can result in kind of more night terry type things. And it can also be a response of your adrenal glands, your adrenals sinking into more of that rest and relaxation. And then it's causing just some nervous system enhancement happening. So if it's really like, if it's uncomfortable and it's just like too much, I would say there's no problem with drinking the tart cherry during the day. I drink the tart cherry during the day because it's really good for the kidneys. It's not like you're going to drink it and fall asleep. It's not that by any means. It's actually very rich in antioxidants and really anti-inflammatory. So you can totally, I actually add tart cherry into my morning mixture that I do. So you can drink it throughout the day and it will subside. Like as your body starts to get kind of reset and your neurotransmitters start to get reset and your gut starts working better, that will subside. So maybe start by doing it during the day and then maybe do half the amount at night, and see if that helps.
So you're saying like 2 tablespoons during the day and 1 tablespoon at night?
Yeah, that's a pretty good, that's a higher dose, which is great. I'm all for it. So, but I would even just say a tablespoon during the day and then a half a tablespoon at night is sufficient too.
Okay, yeah, and I've been having the constipation issue as well. So I love those ideas. And then the other thing was the biomedic. I had been taking it, but I still was constipated. So I went down on it.
Mhm.
So I'm going to get those things that you, if I should take the biomedic or not take it for now.
Yeah, I would say try to take one a day and just do that for like a week and see how it is. And if you're still having constipation, I would, for one, say introduce a lot more juicy fruits. But then, do it for a week, see how your body adjusts, and then you might be able to go back up to 2, see how your body's doing, and then you can probably increase. But definitely hydration is big. So just really increase the amount of hydrating fruits as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mhm.
I had a quick question. Actually 2 questions, Mary Beth. It's Bobby McGrath. I don't know, I think 7 or 8 weeks in to the ULT. And I did the kidney filtration test last week, and it was like the clear that there ever was. And I've been noticing that for quite a while, just wondering. And then when I finally put it in a glass jar, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not filtering anything. So I'm doing the can't beat this, the tart cherry, the dry brushing. I've got the Be Energetics and things like that. How often would you suggest going back and redoing that filtration test? Because I don't want to get neurotic about it, but I also want to just make sure I'm making some progress.
Yeah. So this is an interesting thing because everybody's so different. I've seen people who were never filtering and they start filtering in 2 weeks. Me personally, when I first learned about all this, it took me 4 months to start getting my kidneys to filter. And that was going like really, really, really high fruit and pretty much all alkaline. So for one, it depends on the amount of lymphatic congestion that you're dealing with. That is one, genetically inherited, and then just your own lifestyle and what's happened. So there's a lot of things that play into it. I would suggest, when I did it, I was checking my filtration every morning at least, because the best time to check is when you've had kind of a dry air fast, like while you're sleeping, and then you wake up and you check. And I personally checked every day until I saw it start to filter. But if that feels like too much, I would just at least definitely check like what happens when you eat like all more raw and more alkaline, and see if you see filtration. And then if you eat like a more heavy, dense, highly cooked, kind of more acidic meal, what happens? And I always noticed that my kidney filtration always stopped once I introduced more acid. Once I introduced more heavily cooked, more processed, anything, And so I would say primarily it's just until you get those kidneys to filter, it's really important to stay high alkaline, and stay high on the hydration and high on the fruit and high on the cleansing foods, and then adding in as you need fit. But just know that the more acidic foods, the more heavy fatty foods you add in, the longer it's going to take for the kidneys to start to filter. So again, you have to fit it to your own lifestyle and your own desires. And it can be a longer process for people if you're up for kind of going the longer route, or you can kind of accelerate it by going, high fruit, high alkaline. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And would that go along with the puffy eyes underneath?
Totally. So puffy eyes generally, it can be that you're maybe carrying a little bit of water weight because you might be eating more alkalizing and hydrating foods than you're used to. So sometimes the body holds on to water, which is a sign that the kidneys aren't filtering properly. And then also it can be adrenal also. Adrenal fatigue. So
both, but
totally. So I would just focus on both places. I would focus on really supporting the adrenals, which our Be Energetic is really great for supporting the adrenals. And I would really focus on the kidneys. And again, it can be a process. It can be a longer process. So, yeah. Does that help?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Very much so. And then the second question I have a new client that's ordered the ULT, and she ordered one for her husband. She is got a laundry list of issues. I mean, I don't even want to get into it, but I want to just be cautious with her because she is diabetic. She's got gout. She's got several things. And so I don't want to turn on, she's got huge inflammation where her feet hurt all the time. And she did one of my 5-day detoxes just to tip her toe in. And she was like, oh my gosh, I actually can walk around like my house now, and her feet swelling got better and everything like that. So I slowly just kind of kept talking with her, signed her up as a client, and then said, let's do this ULT. You can do this. And so my question is, I know the basic, like I had talked or watched Carrie's replay, Carrie Drink Wine, about just kind of throwing away the schedule inside the box and just kind of just doing, a more detox type of thing. So would you suggest just like what you just talked about with your schedule, just something simple like that with her? Because I don't want to overwhelm her.
Mhm.
And I also
Yeah,
don't,
I would start really depending on our goals too. Like you don't want to, if someone really wants to detox heavy, it's a deal, you know, and that's where sometimes it's like better to find someone who can help you through that intenser detox process. But when you're going through it on your own and you have a lot of ailments and a lot of things going on, I would say starting slow so that your body can get used to it and so that it's sustainable for you, because it's better to be on these products and be on this lifestyle like a little bit for a long time than try to do it all at once, and then it just sends the body into too much detox and then you're like, oh, I give up kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
know, it depends on the personality too. But I would say just start her off slow. You know, you could even just start her off on the once a day schedule and like see how that works for her for a week, and if she's digging it and loving it, okay, let's jump up to everything twice a day. Because yeah, for me it's more about the long-term consistency than and then if her desire is to go through a deeper detox, then I would just say work with her a lot closer and have her be prepared for some detox symptoms, because like I said, when you have pain in the body, you often have to relive that pain when you're detoxing it out of the body, and so on and so forth. So
okay. I'm just glad her husband's on board too, because
yeah, totally. And that'll be helpful for both of them to be doing it together. So
okay, thank you.
I have a question. Hi there. This is Rhea from Colorado. I don't know if you remember me from a few years back.
absolutely. Hi.
Hi. So I've been working with your sister, with Rita, and I just reached about 90 days since I started, and my kidneys began filtering, and I did it kind of like what you're saying. So I do want to like affirm that, like with what I'm saying, it's a great method. I love how you all are doing this. So it's doable. People don't, just run away. But at a certain point, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go in deeper. And I really committed. And so like a week ago, my kidneys did start filtering. It was super exciting. Gradually more, and I did a dry fast. So, but I felt like I did it a little bit too long, and I'm curious because they're starting to filter. I'm getting these great benefits of like mind clarity and a little bit of less inflammation, but mostly my inflammation's still there, which is my biggest problem. So what I'm wondering is, how would you suggest, because also my pee stopped filtering like this morning, and yesterday it was like there wasn't anything there, but I'm still just doing fruits. I'm still doing all these Robert Morris. I'm doing it 3 times a day. I'm hitting it hard. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going down the path, and congratulations on seeing filtration. And what can happen is our kidneys, like we can hold pockets. So sometimes you'll see like filtration happening and you're like, woohoo, and then it stops. And then you'll get to another pocket and you'll see filtration happening. So I would say you're doing a great job just sticking with the fruit and the herbs. And if that's the path you're going, like stick with it. Because you're kind of on more of an accelerated probably than most, just doing the regular ULT, but just stick with it. Again, it's the consistency, and the goal is that you'll get another one of those pockets coming through.
Oh, really?
Okay. I
Okay.
mean, that would be the goal, is to just continue to see the filtration, right? Because
Okay.
yeah.
I thought maybe wrong. I was like, well, because I felt so depleted because it was like 34 hours of dry fast, and I hated it. I honestly, like, I've done it before, but for some reason, this was just the worst. I didn't like it. And
yeah, and typically dry fasts are like a really great way to get the kidneys to filter. And again, it's not for everyone, and it's something that most people need to be guided through, and you need to work up to that. But the fact that you did that is really like you released one pocket, and now for sustainability, I would say stick with the fruits. Just keep going.
of course.
Yeah.
Okay. And, is there any other suggestion for how to do a dry fast? Like I said, because Carrie Drinkwine had mentioned you could do 3 days and just eat from 12 to 6. And I did that, and it actually worked. That was a doable thing, is that a good, something like that, to, instead of the 34 hours, I was miserable. I didn't sleep that night. It was also a full moon. It was just like, oh, I hate this.
Yeah, totally. So get back to the place where you feel good again and you don't feel like depleted and you're feeling good. And then, yeah, totally. Like, I think that's even more effective because again, it's more sustainable to do like the 12 to 6 thing. and
Okay.
and try that for a good 3 days, and then kind of go back and let your body, just make sure that you're really listening to your body, right? Yeah.
Okay, the depletion. Okay. And then can I ask one more question? What are your thoughts? I haven't heard anybody speak about it. But I had a friend who offered to like trade with me some Young Living essential oils. They're good quality. Is that good or bad for?
Yeah, I don't really have like a super strong opinion about either. I would say don't overuse them too much,
Yeah.
but I think that if they're the edible grade, like doing some lemon in your water throughout the day is great. And,
Mhm.
sometimes like the lavender and putting essential oils here and here,
Yeah.
can be really calming, and peppermint on the belly can be really helpful. Again, with constipation, if anyone's having that, some peppermint on
Yeah.
the belly. So
Okay.
I don't have a super strong opinion about
So
yes.
easy.
Yeah.
Okay. And do people ever use like the clay to like draw out toxins out of your skin? I've been doing Epsom salt baths and dry skin brushing every day, but like, is it like the clay, is that a thing? I was just
Yeah, if
curious.
you're gonna do the clay, it's definitely more detoxifying. So and sometimes it can actually deplete minerals. So if you're gonna be doing the clay and things, I would just add in the ionic elements with Purium to make sure that you're really replenishing anything that might be
Like after
mhm.
or before or something. Okay, great. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Great.
I don't know if you have time for one more, Mary
Yeah,
Beth.
totally.
I've got my Canadian client who's about almost 100 pounds overweight. She's 75, historically had an eating disorder. She's doing the ULT, and she's kind of funny in what she observes and how she reports it to me. But her last thing was, I'm gaining weight and I'm eating so little. I'm eating the flex foods and I'm eating the shakes twice a day and doing the aminos and that sort of thing. Why would I have gained 6 kilograms was what she had said she'd gained. Okay. So we're talking 12, 13 pounds apparently. Is there any reason why in the early stages of the ULT one would gain weight?
Yeah. Again, probably the water weight. When I first kind of went on like the detox path, I wasn't on the ULT to start, but I was doing like high fruit diet and herbs. And I'm like, whoa, I gained weight my first, I would say 6 months. And again, it went back to my kidney filtration. It was because my kidneys weren't filtering. And so I was starting to break up these calcifications in the body, break up this lymphatic congestion and acid, but it wasn't getting out of the body. And then in consumption with more hydrating foods, I was just holding on to some water weight. So, and then, there's also, I think I mentioned this, the fact that the aminos are definitely more muscle building. So if someone is coming from like a very overweight situation and they introduce these aminos, they could be converting some to some muscle, which as we know weighs a little more. So I would try to introduce her to the idea of kidney filtration, or maybe send her our article and just ask her if she's, being really consistent with the tart cherry, if she could get a kidney tea to kind of support, perhaps getting the Allodigest as well for her to kind of get those bowels moving more. But yeah, and I know Carrie Carrie Drinkwine and Rita had a similar story where we all gained weight in the beginning, because our bodies were just not filtering it out properly. So just the main thing there is you just got to stick with it. You just got to keep doing it, right?
And within the Mighty Networks app, is there a really good resource for that kidney filtration? Hey, Millie.
Yeah, totally. And I can tag you on it.
Okay, sweet. Thanks.
All right, everyone. I do have to run in about 4 minutes, but I could take a couple more questions if there's anyone didn't get what they were hoping to get answered.
I have a question. Can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah, it's really faint, but
okay. Let me try to turn up the volume.
Yeah, that's better.
I had like a simple question about Epsom salt baths because I have like a bigger question about like lymph stuff. But the salt in the bath, how often can I do that?
You can
every
do that
day?
daily, every day. Yeah.
Okay. Any chance how much is too much for a kid to do?
I give my kids Epsom salt baths every time they take a bath, but I just use a little bit. right? And,
Okay.
and, you know,
Okay.
so just, yeah, decrease the
Okay.
dosage.
Okay, so I'm like day 45. This is like my bigger question, and definitely like detox symptoms like in between, but overall, like I had like 7 months of like chronic back pain, and so that, and like bad PMS, that's why I started. And that pain, I was trying to get, like, if it was inflammation related, I was trying to get rid of that, right? Like that was my goal, change all of my eating. And so the 30 days was really good, like for my mood, for my whatever, like skin, 8 years of dandruff that like went away, like good things, right? But in the meantime, the back pain was like the worst it's ever been. And it was more than like the 3-5 days, like you said, like a detox symptom. And so I finally, because it was like 7 months of this, I went to a primary, and she was trying to figure out if it was just like diverticulitis. In the meantime, she found a lung issue. And so it's definitely like I have like nodules and masses and like swollen lymph nodes in my lung area. And I'm just like, how much of it is like the detox stuff I've been doing, or he says it's been that way like for like since February, and I started this like in March, the detox stuff. So my question essentially is, do I just go like getting the lymph moving route, or do I keep exercising, like figuring out my, like if I have an autoimmune thing? So like that's where I'm stuck. Like the testing I've done hasn't like concluded like that I have an autoimmune thing, but they want to do more invasive testing. So I just don't know what to do next.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to share my or spread some compassion to you, because I know that it can be really challenging when you've been on these longer healing things and you don't feel like you're getting better, and then you kind of get better and you do. So just sending compassion to you. But so either way, you're going to want to get the lymph clean, because most autoimmune concerns stem back to an acidic system, a congested lymph system, which is where inflammation stems from. If you have inflammation in the body, you can guarantee that you have backed up lymph system. And the fact that you have swollen lymph nodules and all those things is showing you that your lymph is backed up. So I would still continue to go hard on the astringent fruits, and really working
Right.
on that lymph system, you know, and the Epsom salt baths and the hot and cold showers and saunas if you can. And then the other thing to note about the back pain is it near your kidneys? Is it in that area?
When I was with my doctor, she made it sound like it was by my colon.
Okay. Yeah.
So not really like by my kidneys, I guess, but it's more to the left, lower left. And I've been like pain free. It was like 50 days of like intense pain, like, and I had to use like Tylenol and ibuprofen, and it was just really bad, right? The max of that to like not keel over and pass out. Yeah, and then I had a bronchoscope, and then since that, I've had no pain in my back. So I just, yeah, it's just really confusing.
Yeah.
So like,
and I'll share
he thinks it's like sarcoidosis, but he can't like name it. So until he does more testing. So
yeah, I would just say either way, just work on the lymph system, work on alkalizing the body. And a personal story is when I was younger, I had severe back pain and I thought it was from an injury. And I ended up getting like a CAT scan and doing the whole thing. And what the doctor came back with was just, Mary, you have severe constipation that's pushing on a nerve in your back and it's causing this pain. And so the fact that it's by your colon is another thing to look at. If you have a lot of lymph stagnation, like I said, it's going to need to come out of the kidneys, it's going to need to come out of the bowels, and the lungs is a big one, in the skin. So any way that you can support those organs, you know, maybe a colonic is something that you want to do at this point. If you've been working on it and you feel like you're getting some backup, maybe you just need to get like a big flush to go through, you know? So back pain can definitely be stemmed from backed up waste in the colon. So that's where I'd focus. I would focus on the organs of elimination and focus on that lymph system.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right,
Barry, I
everyone.
have a question. Oh,
Yeah.
I was just curious. I'm allergic to bee pollen, and so was nervous to try it might not be a minuscule dose in the bee energetic, but is there something that if people are allergic to bee products, that's a better option or like an alternative to that?
Yeah, I'm actually allergic to bee pollen too. So the Love Meal Shake has really good adaptogenic herbs in it. The Can't Beat This has good adaptogenic herbs in it. And then if you're working particularly for adrenals, I work with Dr. Robert Morse herbal formula of his adrenal tincture, which I know Michelle can get you connected with that. So those are
Got
my
it. Thank
go-tos.
you.
Mhm. All right, everyone, I'm sorry I do have to run, but I'm hoping that this was helpful. And if there was any questions that you didn't get answered, feel free to drop them in our regenerative health site. And you can even tag one of us to try to get them answered. And we can do it that way. Otherwise, we will be back here next Wednesday. I believe Rita will be leading. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.